meeting of the Park and Recreation Commission meeting of September 16th, 2021. The time is 6:03. And I invite Becky to call roll.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Cabrales.
Here.
Commissioner Emerson.
Here.
Commissioner Gutierrez.
Here.
Commissioner Lauman.
Here.
Chair Machado.
Here.
Commissioner Reisinger. She's absent this evening. And Commissioner Sandoval has not arrived yet. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Becky, I'll invite you also to explain how the public can participate in this evening's agenda.
All right, good evening, everyone. Viewers are welcome to provide public comment online through Zoom or by telephone at 669-900-9128. And the meeting ID is 946-0348-5912. If you are watching this meeting through Zoom, please select the participants button and select raise hand if you wish to speak. If you're participating by telephone and wish to speak, please press *9. When it is your turn to speak, you will be notified by the host inviting you to participate. You need to press *6 to unmute yourself. Once you are unmuted, you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments.
Thank you, Becky. Are there any amendments to this evening's agenda? Susan?
There are none.
Okay. So first up on the agenda is to approve the minutes from 2 months ago, from July 15th, 2021. Any questions? Any questions in regards to that? Is there anybody out in the public, Becky?
No, we don't have anyone in the public at this time.
Okay. So I'll open public comment and I'll close public comment. And any in regards to the commissioners, are there any comments in regards to the minutes? Nada. All right. I request a motion to approve the minutes. Commissioners?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
And may I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Becky, thank you very much. Becky, can you call the roll?
All right, Commissioner Cabrales,
Yes.
Commissioner Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lauman,
Yes.
Chair Machado,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you. Motion
Dear. All right.
Everyone.
Hey. Are there any introductions, awards, recognitions, or presentations? Susan?
I have one,
Okay.
but
Let's hear it.
I think the cat is already out of the bag, or at least in Kayla's picture it is. We'd like to introduce Catherine Kufa has been selected as the next Library and Recreation Director for the City of San Rafael.
Congratulations, Catherine. Wow.
She's so excited she's going to leave us and go have a baby.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty fantastic. There was quite a significant amount of qualified candidates. And it was really exciting to see not only somebody from San Rafael who currently is living here, but an internal candidate was able to successfully capture that the new position. So we're super excited to have Catherine. I can't tell you how excited I am, but I'll let her speak a little bit on behalf of herself.
Oh, well, thank you, Susan. I don't have a whole lot to add to that. I'm really excited about this. I think this is, I mean, it's a dream job for me, having grown up here, having come back here. I obviously have a lot of passion for San Rafael and the community, and I'm excited to continue to grow and work with this team and the team at the city. And it's an exciting next step. It doesn't quite feel real yet. I think probably once I'm back from maternity leave, it'll sink in a little bit more. but yeah, I'm really excited, and excited for the Park and Rec master plan, and to kind of jump over into the library side as well, and to learn a lot more about that. So, you know, I've gotten to work quite a bit with Henry and the library team over the past few years with the city, but excited to kind of take on a different role there as well. I also love parks and I love libraries, so it'll be a good combination for me. So
I think it's so great that someone that is local and grew up here gets a position like this. I think it's incredible. And so congratulations to you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you were in Vegas, you wouldn't take the odds on this one, that, you know, somebody who grew up here comes back and pursues something and is the successful candidate exactly when that opportunity is open. So for all those moons to be in line, it's something else. But, you know, I call Catherine my unicorn. She's a rare thing that you don't often get to have in your life. And she is my one. I can't say I've ever had anyone like her before, so I couldn't be more proud. But I will let you know that I will still be serving as the director until she returns. I promise I won't damage anything. But when she returns, then we'll start the recruitment for her replacement, because it's a little too much trying to do both jobs. So I will stay until we successfully hire her replacement and we have enough time together to pass that baton successfully. So again, thank you guys for welcoming her. I think you have been the star witness to what she is capable of more than anybody else. And her work speaks for her. So anyway, that's my big announcement. I'm sure we'll have another one as soon as she has her little baby girl. But we'll wait for that news later.
Congratulations, Catherine. Thank you, Susan. Okay, so Becky, I'll ask again, is anybody joined us from the public?
No, we do not have anyone at this time.
Okay, so we'll go to the next piece on the agenda, and that's the park projects status report for April 2021 through August 2021.
Great. So I'd like to introduce somebody else who has recently been promoted. I mean, everybody, it's a great time to be in the city right now, and we have a lot of up and coming talent, as you are going to witness. April Miller successfully applied and received the promotion to Assistant Public Works Director and City Engineer.
Wow.
So we get to have her tonight, and both Catherine and her have been taking the helm of the Park and Recreation Master Plan project. So you have them all in one place tonight. So April, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me tonight. I guess I'm just going to go through some of the updates that are going on from the public works side with parks. So one of the projects we completed over this last time period was over at Pickleweed Park. There was fencing that was put around the playground, and that if you go out there now, you'll see that it's complete. We have one small improvement to an ADA ramp that still needs to be done, but the fencing itself is complete. Another project is the Shoreline Park restroom. This project's been going on for a while. We're now at the stage of we're trying to get utilities hooked up. We were originally hooked up to the neighbor property, and instead of using the neighbor's property, we've been asked to get our own utilities for the restroom. So we're currently coordinating with PG&E, the sewer district, and MWD to get the proper utilities for that restroom. So the remodel isn't done, it's sitting there. We're just waiting to hook up the utilities. So based on timelines from these utility companies, they're hoping to get it to it by the end of this year, or calendar year. Another project I've been working on with Catherine closely is the Sun Valley Park playground renovation. So this, not a lot has happened yet. So far, all we've done is we've done preliminary studies on accessibility and just kind of looked at the park on approximately how much it would cost to replace the playground equipment. So we just want to make sure everybody knows that there's still plenty of time for outreach. There's still plenty of time to help design the project. We just had to get this initial studies done in order to submit a grant application. So we had funding so we could afford the project. So that will be coming up. The application has been submitted, and we're hoping to start outreach on that early next year. Now over at Albert Park Field, there's a couple different concurrent projects that are happening. We are replacing the netting to higher levels around the field for the baseball field. And we're planning to go out to bid on that project by early next week. And hopefully we can finish construction, assuming we can get all the materials in time before next season, which starts in March. Also at Albert Park Field, we have purchased an accessible restroom, and we're currently working on getting it manufactured so that we can put an accessible restroom out there at Albert Park Field. We're hoping to get that sometime this fall or this winter. And then with that, we are also doing an accessible ramp so that there will now be an accessible ramp up to the stadium level. So all of those projects we are hoping to have completed by next March. And then, as Susan mentioned, we've been working on the Park and Rec master plan. So since the last update, we had an RFP that went out to solicit firms. We received 5 firms. We actually ended up interviewing all 5 firms. Thanks to we had, a couple of the commissioners helped us on the interview panel and reviewing all of the proposals. And so we just decided this week that we're going to pursue negotiations with our top firm. And so next week we're going to meet with them to try to finalize scope and fee. And the idea would be to start the meat of the process next year, because we want to wait until the spring in order, that's a more ideal time to do outreach to the community to figure out, what's going on and, their needs. And then I think those are all of the projects that are currently going on as far as that update.
Did the
Thank you,
commission
April.
have questions?
Commissioners, do you have any questions for April?
I do. I was trying to remember where's the new bathroom going to go at Albert Park? Where was that going to be located?
So I think we're referencing the ADA restroom. So when April was giving you the description of all the improvements at Albert Park, it's in relationship to the actual baseball stadium. So the baseball stadium doesn't currently have ADA restrooms. So it's going to be a restroom unit, like a modular unit. It will be put, best way to say, alignment with, what is that street? Anderson, right by the concession area over on the left-hand side. So if you're in the baseball stadium, it would be on the third base side on the cement slab. The ramp is going to be in the same area as well. So it's going to be pretty tight, as you can imagine. And then fencing will be something like you've seen at the major league stadiums, which will go along the inside of the baseline from all the way down first baseline, all the way down the third baseline to protect all the spectators and errant balls from going into Anderson, which we don't want to have happen. So it's a pretty complicated process, but it'll be really nice when we finally are able to do that.
So they're in addition to the old bathrooms.
Yeah, the old bathrooms don't meet code. So there was a possibility of renovating those. And quite frankly, the space is so tight, it really doesn't yield as much. And for the dollar amount. So it was a better decision to bring in, I believe is it 4 stalls or 3 stalls, April? I couldn't remember.
It's 4.
Okay, so it's 4 gender neutral ADA units. In addition to what the stadium already has. So instead of replacing what we had, which really wouldn't have fit 4 ADA restrooms units, we are getting 4 more, and plus people can still use the stadium units if they want to, which is much better considering the stadium holds 800 people. So
Thank you.
sure.
Yes, Stacy.
I'm very excited about the Parks and Rec master plan. And I was just curious about whether that work is fully funded or we are looking for funding for that.
It is fully funded from Measure A. Measure A, that was the decision that the commission made last year to use that money for it. So the amount of money that's been allocated for this project is $250,000. It's significant. A good chunk of that is really going to the ADA component of that, the assessment of ADA accessibility at our parks. And that is going to take quite a bit of that money up. Normally a park and rec master plan of this magnitude, they can cost anywhere up to $500,000. But like cities have spent around 150 just for the park and rec master plan. With that ADA component, it's what pushes it up a little higher.
Thank you. And then I was just curious for implementation of some of the findings or recommendations of the plan. Is there funding for that, or that'll have to come in the future? And is there any, does having a parks and rec master plan make us more eligible for external funding in the future?
Yes. So good question. So there is no money set aside for any of the ensuing projects from the Park and Recreation Master Plan findings. So part of that master plan findings and why we have such a robust steering committee and community engagement is it will help to prioritize what those projects are. So as we receive money through Measure A, hopefully it will pass, make sure all your neighbors vote for it, that we will have this nice shopping list of what to do next. But you are absolutely right. Part of the reason why cities do master plans is to have that criteria so they can apply for competitive grants.
Thank you very much.
Commissioners, are there any other questions for April or Susan in regards to this?
I had a question about the Sun Valley Park. Is that in addition to the gazebo? I guess because I missed the tour that we had, I think, last month.
Okay, so I was going to brief you on this a little bit later, but I'll go ahead and do it now. There's 3 things that are going on that impact Sun Valley right now. Recently, the commission heard feedback in regards to a gazebo on whether or not we should remove it or let it stay. The second element was off-leash dogs, right? And we were talking about that. And then the project that you approved last year for the per capita grant, which is not a competitive grant, but it is a per capita grant, is for the replacement of the playground. Now, they're really separate issues, but they need to really be in an alignment with how they happen. So the playground will probably come back to you at some point for you to decide whether or not, with community input, whether it should stay, remain, or go. The off-leash dog program, we're waiting on right now, because if they accept our per capita grant application, which they should, if they do, and we receive the funding, that will be our first priority to schedule that, to hire a contractor to design and make sure that we have that project on the books for next year, and the community engagement. Because the off-leash dog program is using that turf area, you can imagine if we replace that playground, pull out that playground, at the same time we only allow dogs over in the turf area, there will be no place for families to go for a short term. So what we would like to do is wait until we receive that grant confirmation. We have a chance as staff to sit down and schedule that for next year. Once we know what that time frame is, then we possibly can come back to the commission and have you weigh in on implementing an off-leash dog pilot program so that they're in sync with each other and they're not conflicting. The other thing that April can talk a little bit about is when we do that project to replace that playground, the optimal time would be to have that done after Labor Day, when it's not in the middle of summer and all the families are using playgrounds, right? You can imagine. However, they're going to need to stage the equipment on site. So in other words, it could be where a lot of the concrete is currently that they'll be taking out, but it could encroach on the field area. So once again, we wouldn't want dogs off leash running around while we have heavy equipment. So we will have a better idea once we receive confirmation on that project and start to look at that timeline. Then we can come back to the community and to you about that off-leash dog program. So it's really kind of a 3-pronged process, if that makes sense. The gazebo really can be dealt with at any time. So we will be coming back to you on that.
Thanks.
I think the only other thing I wanted to add about the playground is, just so you know, it's a pretty expensive project. April mentioned this. It's not just the replacement of that playground. It's all the ADA improvements that have to be made from where the parking is all the way to and from that playground, which is quite expensive and extensive. That's it.
Okay. Hey, Becky, I will ask again if there's anybody in the public that's wanting to respond or speak.
No, we do not have anybody.
Okay. So the recommended action is that the Park and Recreation Commission receive the report and provide feedback. So is that all the comments in regards to this, commissioners? Then I'm going to close it and go to the next agenda item. Okay. All right, here we go. The next agenda item is Park and Rec's Parks Maintenance Status Report for April 2021 through August 2021.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that report too. This is from Public Works. So the main focus for the last quarter has been the drought that's happening and all the water restrictions that MMWD has put on the city and residents around the area. So there's, in some cases, we can't even install brand new water meters because they're not issuing any water meters. So the city has acquired a watering truck where we actually hook up for recycled water to help us water some of the trees and some of the other smaller parks and things. But our overall goal from MMWD is to do a 40% overall water reduction. So we can only do spray irrigation 1 day a week. We can only do drip irrigation twice a week. And so it's really put a lot of restrictions on the city. We did file for an exception because we wanted MMWD to realize that if we close down Pickleweed Park and Alberts Park and to only 1 day a week, then we wouldn't have enough water and it wouldn't be a usable surface. So they agreed to that variance as long as overall we had a 40% decrease in our water usage. And that's also helped with our recycled water truck because that's a different set of water than the potable water. So we were able to do that. The other item that was done this last quarter was at Albert Park's baseball field. Our crews went out there and they hauled in some more infield dirt and they leveled it to make it a safer and more playable surface. And that's it for the maintenance updates.
Commissioners.
I have a question about the recycled water. Is there any long-term plans to use recycled water better at the parks? I mean, it seems like that's the future. There's millions and millions of free gallons of it. Is there long-term, or if it's cisterns at the parks that just feed into those irrigation systems? Is there any discussion of that? I mean, right now it's nice that we're hand watering of trees. We're doing it at my house. We're getting the water and keeping our trees alive. But is anything being discussed like that for parks?
Yeah, so we've had conversations with MMWD because right now the only recycled water that's available is actually in the Terra Linda neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only place where you can actually hook up to the recycled water system. So there's been discussions, they're trying to collaborate, with the city, maybe the county, maybe even SMART to use their right of way to try to find a way to bring a recycled water line south so that other parts of San Rafael can use it. Because there's definitely big water usage in the parks, Peacock Gap Golf Course, the schools. There's different areas that really need to be on a recycled water system. So they're currently looking at that. They're hoping to try to get some stimulus money with the backing and support from the city and county to try to get some money in order to build that water line. They're looking at a few different alignments. So we've just been meeting with them, sharing our support that, it would be great that if we could make this happen. But for now, we're just using trucks because that's the only way we can get the water to South San Rafael.
Thank you. I had one other question. There was it's not specific to this particular report, but in park maintenance, the Sun Valley Park, there was a huge tree that split in half and fell. I think it happened in the night. No one was hurt and they removed the tree. Assuming that there's a lot of probably kind of sick and dying trees out there at the parks, is there a robust sort of checkup on all these trees before winter comes and just to make sure they're all safe? What is I don't know the process by which that's done, but I was just curious if you could brief us, if that's you or parks. I don't know who does it.
It's parks. I know that they frequently go out to the different parks, but I'm not sure specifically if they're looking at the trees. I know we removed one that we were out there and saw it was dying out by Pickleweed Park the other day. So we had our tree service company remove that tree because it was dying. So I think it's kind of just when we're out there and we're looking around. But I can check, maybe we are, maybe somebody does an official check before the storm.
Thank you.
Just so everybody knows, I think I mentioned this a long time ago, and I apologize if I'm being redundant, but I can send you a link. There is on the city's website, there is a spot where people can send in work orders of things that they've observed. It can be an abandoned car, it can be graffiti, it can be storm drains, it can be all kinds of stuff, trees. So if you often see something like that, there's actually an opportunity for you to put in information on the website. It generates a work order and you can put your contact information. So if somebody really, it's not GI coded, or GIS coded. So unfortunately, there's no ability yet to take a picture and so they can find it. But if you leave your information and it's a difficult location for them to identify what it is, it enables our staff to be able to contact you to make sure that they have the precise area. On a park like Sun Valley, it should be pretty obvious, but a park like Peacock Gap, it might not be so easy. But if you do see something, please either let us know or, reach out to me and I'll shoot you the website so you can do that. It's really helpful.
Thanks, Susan. And commissioners, are there any other comments or questions in regards to this report? Thank you very much, April. And the recommended action was that the commission receive the report and provide feedback. And so thank you very much, commissioners. In regards to, are there any other brief reports on any meetings, conferences, and or seminars attended by any of our commissioners? Anything going on this summer? And that looks like a no. And staff comments, Susan.
Well, I think I just briefly covered some of the areas I wanted to make sure everybody knew. I know 2 months ago, we did come to you to talk about the gazebo and dogs off leash. A couple of things to note, we did do a walkabout at Sun Valley Park, so a few of the commissioners could really visualize the turf area and how large it is and where the wooden gazebo is. We did get quite a bit of feedback from the neighborhood in regards to that, as well as other projects like the Park and Rec Master Plan and the replacement of their playground. We do have a meeting. I have a meeting set up with the council member Hill, who's from that district area, as well as the representative from their neighborhood association to talk tomorrow afternoon about the possibility of bringing that off-leash dog program for your consideration later when it's closer aligned with the project that we talked about, and make sure that they're both in alignment as far as timing. One of the things that I found interesting this last week is there are multiple cities that have off-leash dog programs, much more than what we thought. So we're getting more and more information. I think probably the most important information that I'm finding out already is it's usually only available in the morning hours. Those facilities that allow it in the afternoon or early evening hours have large lighted facilities. And the other thing in common is most of the cities that allow it in their parks, the parks are over 3 acres, all the way up to 33 acres. Sun Valley Park, if you add in the hillside, you're just over 2 acres. If you take off that, kind of that area where we walked up with the gazebo is that dirt, you're down to less than an acre. So I think what's really important is as we pursue this, as you go down a path to take a look at an option, as soon as you open that door and consider it an option, you will have other neighborhoods who want to include it in their parks as well, which is fine. But often cities really try to define that criteria of whether it goes in or whether it does not. So with Sun Valley being probably the smallest neighborhood park we have, it possibly could open it up as an opportunity for other neighborhoods to want the same amenity. So that's why we're taking a lot of time and really figuring out what these other cities have done and learn from their really valuable experience. I think the most telling was Los Altos has been dealing with identifying a permanent location for an off-leash dog park, as well as an off-leash dog program, combine the two elements, for over 2 decades. And they recently, at the beginning of this year, have not yet found a place for the permanent location, but they have allowed it off-leash dog program to occur in one park and one park only. They had a separate off-leash dog committee, as well as an off-leash dog park committee. And as you can imagine, the minutes that I read exceeded 12 years. And the most recent staff report that got it approved has 79 pages of attachments. So it was something. It was something. So I don't want to win. I don't want that to happen to us. So part of the reason why we're pausing is if we, and I mean pause, not pause, is to make sure that the neighborhood is absolutely supportive of this, and that we really do our due diligence and make sure that we understand the criteria before we put you in that position of weighing in on it. So hopefully that kind of explains that a little bit. And lastly, from what we've been told, the city council is going to be meeting virtually, most likely till January. We absolutely know it'll be through the end of the year. They feel it's the right thing to do and to support all the efforts in Marin County, led by Marin County Health and Human Services. So we will be having those larger meetings and our commission meetings still virtually through the end of the year. If those things should change, we will let you know, but that is the plan right now. And I thought you would want to know that. That's it.
Thank you,
Catherine, do
Susan.
you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I can just kind of give a few program updates. Our on the childcare side, we started our after school programs at the end of August with school going back. We are definitely at a much higher capacity than we were during COVID. We're not yet back up to the same numbers we were serving pre-COVID. We're still working on getting more staff hired so we can kind of increase those numbers, but we're trending in the right direction, which is exciting. We also had a number of our senior programs start back up this past week. The Golden Heirs have re-entered the San Rafael Community Center. They have a few programs going and are kind of building back up slowly. The mask mandate is has kind of discouraged some of the exercise classes and whatnot, but we've got watercolor and other things going on. The Terra Linda seniors also came back up at Terra Linda, and at Bora we've got the senior congregate meal. So that's all very exciting. We've also got just other programs kind of coming back, feeling a little bit more comfortable. We've got Bridge was a big program both at Terra Linda and at Bora Community Center. That's back starting this week. So that's really exciting. At the same time, the pools are winding down. We have lap swim and a little bit of rec swim through the end of September. And then we'll be closing the pools at the end of September. Just with staffing, we really weren't able to kind of get the hours needed to go beyond the end of September with that. I think that's probably about it for now. So I think, yeah, just our fall programs, some of our more regular programs coming back, and some of the summer programs winding down.
I think there's two more things. I apologize, but I thought you might want to know. The library and community center conceptual design most likely will be coming to the city council. It looks like now it's going to be the early part of November. Staff has a couple recommendations besides just presenting the conceptual design to the city council. The last thing we want to do is go in front of the city council, show them the findings of the conceptual design. Although it's beautiful and it's wonderful information, the whole idea of this is really to further the project. And so the staff recommendations most likely are a little bit more involved. So we would like to get some more information on that. And we're working through the city manager's office and a council subcommittee to get that refined. So we are hoping that will be early November at the latest. We were hoping October 18th. We still might be able to pull it off, but we're not sure if we'll be able to get all the information by then. So hopefully that'll happen. And lastly, just kind of on a personal note, in case people ask you, we do have a testing site here at the San Rafael Community Center by Curative. It's every Tuesday. It's pretty much all day long. You can make appointments usually up to a couple of days before, not usually the week before, but a couple of days before. They can handle about up to 250 appointments. I do it every 2 weeks because we're working in the public and to keep everybody safe. I'm telling you, it's the fastest thing I've ever done. It takes me longer online to make the appointment than it ever does for me to be tested. So in case anyone contacts you and doesn't know where to go, it is here every Tuesday out in the parking lot. They don't even have to walk in the building. And it's really quick and they're fantastic. So just wanted to share that with you as well.
Susan, I have a quick question in regards to what is the city doing about employees being vaccinated and all, and what's the thought in regards to that?
Sure. Well, that's a great question. As of today, everyone on staff had to provide proof of vaccination or that they weren't vaccinated. They just had to show whether they were or weren't. And if they are not, then the city is going through a testing procedure for those individuals. So for some of us, it's pretty simple. It came out a couple of weeks ago. It was a request, and I believe Cecily probably has the best information, but Marin County in general has initiated that process. And as an agency, this city has done it as well. It's a requirement that we show proof of vaccination or that we're not vaccinated.
And you have to test. Yeah.
And that we have to test.
Okay. Just wondering.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions from the commissioners for Susan or staff?
So Catherine, what's your timeline for your maternity leave? Just curious.
Well,
And congratulations.
I'm due in a week.
Whoa,
so-
see, Zoom, you can't, you cannot.
Wow,
I know,
you'll be
you can't
back
tell,
quick.
you can't tell. So my plan is to work until next Friday unless I can't. And then I'll be back at the end of January.
Oh, okay.
Wow, that seems like not enough time. Anyhow, okay. Anything else for the greater good here? The next meeting is October 21st, 2021. Will we be deciding at that time, Susan, on the new chair and vice chair and all that?
Most likely it will be in November. We
Okay,
have a couple of reports we're bringing to you in October. So October and November, we will be conducting both of those meetings. December, you're going dark. So most likely it will be in November.
okay. Well, good enough. I am adjourning this meeting. The time is 6:41. I thank you also very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.